Hey, Slostra, what happened last week?
Oh lordy. Um, we came back to Dolveron and did some things. Perm found out that she needs to go back to Aridia, and we all agreed to put the Rasahari trip on hold to go help her with that. And I'm missing more of the details.
Anyone like to fill in the details for Slostra?
Well, before we got to Dolveron, we got the teleportation circle after talking to some fiends in a spooky mansion.
Ah, yes, that was last week as well.
Navali ran out covered in blood.
Yes, we pretended to be very scared and learned that it's Crow's teleportation circle. And we
Azel's.
probably, Azel, sorry. And we probably could have just asked to use it, but it ended up okay anyways.
It's okay to forget who it is. Everyone seems to think that she's Linnell, so, you know.
No one did a better job acting than Karito, though.
Hell yeah.
True.
Kaito was Oscar worthy, whoever Oscar is.
Is there anything else you would like to add? That seems like a no. In that case, it has been several days. You are gathering supplies for your new trip that, thankfully, is significantly easier to prepare for. But before we move on to the actual trip, is there anything else you would like to do in the city before we leave the city again?
Red has a couple of things he wants to do. Treating Crow being the chief among them.
Hey, when are we going to take her out to dinner?
Now, apparently.
Okay, so I'm thinking we bust in the door and say, "Hey, nerd, we appreciate you. We're buying you dinner. Come on." Too aggro?
It's a little aggro.
Maybe just knock first?
We could knock, we could find out if she's free first.
All right. Who's doing it? Okay, I'm going.
Okay.
You have this discussion probably not far from the Tandem Imperium, considering that's where most of you sleep. 6, you head back in. It is the middle of the day. You know they're busy in the evening, so this makes sense. And you just head straight up to Crow, completely ignoring everyone else.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, Crow.
She looks up from a book. Do you need something, Fiona?
You can call me Six. Yeah, kinda. So, like, our guild and I were talking, and you've put up with a lot of shit from us in the past couple of weeks, and it can't have been easy. So, we wanted to show our appreciation to you by taking you out to a fancy dinner.
Roll persuasion.
Oh, shit, let me open up my...
Now roll perception. As you say this, you can clearly see her look past you towards other people, not the party, as if trying to decipher what other people are thinking about this situation. You have no idea what their facial expressions are because you're focused on Crow, but her own face seems to relax just a moment. Are you. Is this a trap?
No, it's a gift. I know you were saying like you wanted to go to the spa, but I don't have any spa tokens. So dinner's like the next best thing.
You can see her yell past you. Am I doing anything important for the day? Reading, like you always do. Sure, I can go.
Hell yeah. Okay, minor complication. Where can you go that we can also go? You know,
Oh, I have no idea. Normally I have Varya make food or order cheap things, oftentimes just fish.
this seems like the sort of thing that Rev would know. Do you want to, like, should we come pick you up?
You sleep here.
Should we come get you when we know where to go?
Yes.
Okay. I'll be back.
Okay. She just goes back to her book.
Rev.
Yes.
Good news. Totally on board. She's excited. Where can we actually go that we're allowed to go with Crow?
I don't know. Would Rev know that?
Oh, I'll let you choose either to roll history or roll a straight wisdom.
Wisdom it is. Nice.
So, are there places that you could eat together? Yes. Is the food good? No.
I spent most of my time in places that were less upscale, but I have no doubt that we could likely find something if we looked, yes?
Navale, I would also like you to roll wisdom.
Okay. Heck.
Really quick, while she's rolling, Leo sort of like casually says, "I don't know if we have goodwill to burn with our patron to get us an invitation somewhere."
Navale, you and Permelia have been going on dates almost every day. You can name a few places that, well, you thought they were good, though they were consistently places that did not serve meat or fish or anything to that degree, and thus were very specialized. Probably because they're so specialized, they're a lot less discerning.
Uh, Permelia and I have been going to some nice places. They are typically more of my diet, however, so if all of you are looking for something more in the meat side department, then I'm not sure, but I do know a few.
Navala, you are so smart and good at things also.
Naval kind of like smiles, but she looks a little nervous at that.
It'll be exotic.
Exotic. Uh, uh yes, I just hope Crow will like it. Is Perm with us? Is Perm also with us right now?
If you want her to be, if you wouldn't want her to be, she's just getting supplies for Aridia.
Okay. I don't think Navali probably would have asked her to come.
And she's
But
getting supplies.
yeah.
Okay, well, it's basically settled. Let's go tell Crow and change into our fancy clothes and then make her feel appreciated. Six sort of looks to Rev like a, eh? Eh? Sort of expression.
A revel nod.
I have to ask, do you all actually dress up for this?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You're
I don't know that Leo has like a dress outfit. He probably just has like a second jacket that he puts over the first one.
You all go get dressed. Again, the funny thing is, your outfits would be in the Tandem Imperium. So you literally walk in, wave to Crow, and then go to your rooms to get dressed, with the exception of Volley, who has to walk a bit further.
Mhm.
If you would like to describe to me your fancy outfits, you can.
Hell yeah, we're doing it. Okay. Six is in a big, like, poofy, flowy shirt that has the chest, like, unlaced but isn't showing anything. It's got big sleeves. She's got super high waisted, narrow pants, and she's got, like, knee high boots that leave the paw digits exposed. She's bringing some of that, like, mask pirate realness to dinner.
I love it.
Ardo's just wearing a freshly laundered yukata.
Oh boy. This is probably the same as his normal things, except he doesn't have leather armor on under it, and he's used prestidigitation to like press it so that it looks slightly better.
Press digitation.
I hate you so much.
The DM has taken 7 psychic damage.
Celastra's wearing her fancy dress from the guild summit.
Rev is also wearing his outfit from the guild summit. It's a blue. I don't know what you would call it. Jacket, nobleman's jacket. Black slacks, black boots, sort of thing.
All of you get dressed. Navali, we'll have you describe yourself in a moment because you're not technically there.
Mhm.
And as you clearly dress up fancily, you notice Crow look up from her book and go, "Oh," close the book and go find a dress. Hers is very plain, just a very simple black dress, and it takes her several minutes to get it on, most likely because she also decided to wear some black lipstick. So where are we going?
Oh, Navali picked this place out. It's exotic. It's like nothing you'd normally eat.
Roll persuasion. This is very nice of you, and I look forward to seeing what that means. Is this Rossaharian food? Do you have particular palates?
Yes, but it isn't that. It's a surprise.
You can see her actively look back to her guildmates who are clearly just keeping themselves busy and kind of shooing her to have fun with the clear look of an introvert being pushed out to be extroverted and having no idea what to do. You meet up with Navali. I have to ask Navali, what are you dressed as?
I was just thinking she was wearing her dress from the Guild Summit.
This makes sense. This is probably most of your nice clothing.
I mean, I wasn't gonna wear the maid outfit, so.
How disappointing.
That's permanently disappointed.
Pence, did you invite her for this?
I feel like Navai would tell Perm that they're gonna go have like a dinner with Crow if she wants to join.
I would like you to roll persuasion, and I will explain why afterwards.
All right.
If you think it would be necessary, sure, but I'm trying to avoid talking to anyone from there so they don't ask about me.
It is your choice, Perm. I just thought in case maybe you wanted to come with us, you're more than welcome to.
Have a lovely dinner, and I'll just make sure we're ready to go immediately. Please don't take offense. It's just if she talks about me, then other people might ask, and there's some people from there that we don't want that to happen.
Navali probably knows who.
Yes, Navali, I do not require any rolls from you. You know exactly what she's talking about.
Do you want me to bring you back anything?
No, I'll find my own food. Thank you.
Of course.
Navali, roll me insights.
Okay. Well.
She's clearly just being nice.
Navali will note that and give her a kiss on the cheek and go to meet everybody else.
Secondary question. Would you like to name this place or should I? I have one set up, but I hate it.
Given that like we have the bunnery, I was almost thinking it'd be fun to have another rabbit named place, but I can't think of anything good off the top of my head.
Great. Navala, you take them to the Yeast Feast.
Yeast! Yes!
I told you, Crow, it's exotic.
What? It is actually an extremely nice place, despite the fact that clearly the majority of what they make is fancy bread dishes. They're all clearly not made with any kind of animal byproduct, which makes them just very excited to serve this to people who are normally carnivores. Looking at you, Tabaxis. Mostly just to see how you'd react to it. For the sake of simplicity, whoever would like to roll charisma will just zoom by and say that's how good of a time it was. Might I suggest someone who actually has a decent charisma?
I got a 6 in charisma.
It's not a saving throw.
I've got a 2 in charisma.
I've got a 5.
Go for it. Hell yeah.
Get some scintillating conversation from Rev.
Rev, you can tell at first that she seems extremely nervous and wondering what you're planning, like if you're just buttering her up to ask her for more favors. And when that doesn't happen after 30 minutes, she clearly relaxes and starts enjoying the food. And you have a lovely time. You probably talk about just random things, and she doesn't talk about work for once and talks about, well, mostly just about how she very much kind of enjoys that you've made everything a lot more lively and how, at the very least, it's nice not to talk to people like the rest of her compatriots. You can tell she's hiding her words and not wanting to say the F word. She has a lovely time. She very much enjoys it. Uh, please remove 1 gold piece.
We can expense this, right?
Yes, but your
taxes?
Silver on taxes.
yeah, but your expense is still from your gold fund.
I don't know what the fantasy washroom situation is, but at some point where Leo steps aside, out of an abundance of caution, he would use locate creature again regarding shadow monsters.
Roll Arcana. You cast again. You cast it as well as you can think about and keeping in mind what they looked like as best as to your ability, and you don't get any pickups. So you're fairly confident that none of them are within 1,000 feet.
Leo dusts off and takes a deep breath and comes back in at some point during that evening.
You have successfully taken Crow out for dinner. Is there anything else you'd like to do before you head out on your journey?
Navali would like to go to her, or the temple, Helm's Temple.
Do you intend to go alone?
She might mention it, to, like, I don't know, if everybody's, like, talking, she might mention that she is gonna go, to Helm's Temple, like, when they're in a group, but not expecting anybody to come with her.
That's still up to the party. Would anyone like to go to Helm's Temple with her?
If no one volunteers to, character will go simply just, strike the numbers kind of thing.
Oh, good. Someone remembered that you have a group system going on right now.
Yeah.
Also, sort of just to kind of go back there, Navali did absolutely bring something back for Parm. Even if she'll, like, even if it's a thing to have her eat later.
Roll persuasion. You can tell a bit of confusion, but nonetheless, that she clearly seems to, at the very least, appreciate it.
Like I said, even if it wasn't like she wasn't hungry later, like, it's bread. It will last a good amount.
And now, just because it's funny, also roll me insight.
Insight. Let's see it. Hey.
Navali, you notice when you get back from your dinner with Crow that there is very clearly a small amount of what is likely some kind of sauce on her lips and the smell of blood. She ate meat while you were having food.
Oh no!
Dun dun dun.
How could you do no? Navali doesn't care.
I figured not, but she just took this as an excuse to have meat for the first time in a while.
That's fair. Totally fair. Understandable.
So, Helm's Temple,
Yes.
you head there. Is there anything in particular you plan to do there?
I forgot her name, but I would like to sort of see if I can track down the Viera lady I've spoken to a couple of times.
The head priestess?
Yes.
She's not hard to find. She literally lives there.
Did she have a name, or is it just the High Priestess?
I do not believe you ever asked for her name.
Okay. Yep, I don't think I've actually ever asked her name. Alright, Navali will approach her. Um, High Priestess, apologies, but do you have a moment?
For the children of Helm, I always can make some time. Is there something you require, my child?
It's just I experienced something a little odd, and it's sort of kept my mind busy, so to speak.
With all due respect, considering one time that you came to this temple, you experiencing odd things does not seem out of the ordinary.
Yes, um, I assume it has something to do with Helm, but um, I I'm pretty sure Navali has told her that, like, about her paladin stuff, like, or the priestess has maybe figured that out. Is that fair to say? Have they talked about that?
Uh, so you visited here a few times. She definitely knows that you are a devout worshiper of Helm and have powers directly from Helm.
Okay.
Whether this is you've directly discussed paladin shit with her, probably not. Just
Okay.
because that's a very in-depth conversation, and it wasn't really part of why you're coming here.
That's fair. I felt something not too long ago. And when I called on it, something appeared, and it seemed to be this sort of like angelic woman, and it was confusing because it appeared like my mother, and I'm uncertain why. I I don't know what Helm is trying to do. I don't know what that means. I don't know if you've heard of such things, of people like me who have gifts from Helm having these angels appear if they appear like loved ones, but I guess I'm just sort of confused about it all.
Or religion.
That works out great for me.
Hey, it does when it's not about Helm.
Oh god, okay, yep.
There is a pause as you start speaking about this, as clearly she's thinking to herself about what this could mean. And eventually she speaks up. Helm, as you are aware, is a protector. He has a tendency to believe in making sure that those who worship him are able to protect others, not so much protect themselves. So if you requested Helm's assistance in protecting yourself, perhaps simply a spirit from Helm came to protect you. I could not tell you if it is actually the spirit of your mother, but it could be just something to keep you at ease. I assumed you loved her very much.
Yeah. Yes, I did. My mother did always watch over me and my father when we were younger. I guess in a way it would make sense that if Helm is trying to have something or someone that brings me comfort, it would be her.
I know that sometimes messages from the gods can be confusing. They are unable to speak to us directly, so they send complicated and interpretive visions to us. If you felt discomfort from your mother, perhaps it's a sign that you may need to head back to your homeland. But if you felt comfort, perhaps it's just a way to make sure that you are safe. Clearly, he still favors you.
I guess that's fair. I don't think I'd be able to do what I could without his favor. Thank you. I have a lot to think about. Also, I don't think I've gotten your name.
It's Neen.
Neen. Thank you, Neen. I appreciate it. Navali's also gonna drop 2 of her gold for into the charity. If they have like a little charitable bowl.
Oh, of course they do. It's a religious temple.
Yeah.
They literally work on charity.
But yeah, she'll drop 2 gold.
There's a respectful nod to that. You may always come if you require more advice. I'm glad that you still seem safe.
Thank you. Yes, I will be sure to do that.
If I may ask,
Yes.
the man with the bow standing in the back of the temple, is there a reason he seems to be watching as if he's willing to kill anyone who harms you?
Navali will look to Karuto.
Karate gives a polite nod. He's probably out of earshot, except for he isn't.
Yeah, like, there's an assumption that you're out of earshot from her, but you're not.
He's a guildmate and a friend. We deal with a lot of crazy things out in adventuring. It's kind of a habit.
Well, part of protecting is knowing that others will protect you, and it is good to hear that you have found those who will protect you as well.
Navali smiles at that.
However,
Yeah.
should he decide to spill blood in this temple, please know that we will not take that well.
Of course. No, I think he knows. But yes, of course. Thank you, High Priestess. Thank you, Neen. And Navali might just kind of like hang around for a bit to just sort of like kind of have like a moment in like prayer and thought before leaving.
I'll let you do another religion check.
Let's see how well I do, guys.
It's helm related, so about as well as I thought.
Oh my gosh. Every time?
Someday I'll get to talk about what Helm's trying to say to you. Someday.
Someday.
You take your prayer, you get nothing in response, and in many ways this is normal, so therefore probably not discomforting.
Mm-hmm. So she's like, I'm used to it.
Clearly you still have questions that aren't quite answered, but perhaps you'll find answers in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else we would like to do in the city?
Rev has something a little minor he wants to do, sorta.
Go for it.
At some point he would flag down someone. Maybe Karuto if he's not busy. If this is during the temple thing, it could be somebody else.
This is probably over the course of like 3 or 4 days, so it doesn't have to be immediate. It could be Karuto if you want it to be Karuto. If Karuto is okay with that.
Thumbs up.
Right. I guess a lot of things and conversations and things got me thinking recently. There's someone I want to look for in the Umbra district. I was wondering if you might be able to help me out.
I am always at your disposal, Reverence.
Right. Okay. I'm not sure how best to go about this. They're deceased. Um, I have a name, Lydia Kavanaugh.
He nods along seriously.
Um, I know I've asked this before, but there's no like, is there any official like buildings in the Umber District for that sort of thing, or
Official no.
where records are kept? Fuck. um,
Just so I can say this out loud, it's not like everyone actually owns their homes. In the majority of places, especially in the Umber District, there are property owners that do not live there, and then everyone actually living there is renters. So, in theory, you could get paperwork about who's renting, but that probably isn't even well kept in a lot of those areas. And even then, most of the time, it's going to just be oh, yeah, that person's paying for the rent, but then someone else lived there because rampant drug use and prostitution. That's just what's going to happen.
Yay. Would it be fair to say that in his duties back as a Reaper in the Vale, that character would have done this kind of thing, like missing persons?
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. If there is no formal record keeping, like you say, then I would think that the best way to would be to, well, ask.
okay then. Let's ask around then, I suppose.
You know, do you have a general area where we might start, or?
Uh, I actually don't know that I do. I just know that it's in the Umber District somewhere, right?
Correct. Man, you're not even actually 100% certain about that.
Yep, that's what I've got. I think she was from the Umbra District. That's all I know.
That is a lot of ground to cover. I guess we take one side of the street each and work down, and continue in such a way until we find a lead.
Very well, but we do not need to spend all day on this. I'm sure you perhaps had other things you'd like to do or to prepare, so maybe we'll give it 3-4 hours and then meet back up and go from there.
I will follow your lead on this, Reverence.
Okay, well, if that works for you, then let's begin. You said I take one side of the street, you take the other, yes?
He nods.
Okay, I will go do that.
All right, we're going to make this really simple. Cards, roll me investigation.
Yeah! Woo!
So, by the end of about 3 hours, you have talked to dozens of people. Each of you, when combined, probably talked to about 100 people. And overall, the answer would be no to the name. That being said, you do definitely learn that when you start narrowing it down to it's likely a tabaxi woman, uh, you get a district within the Umber district that most tabaxis would be, and therefore when you narrow it down further, you have an area to question in that's going to be a lot easier. You don't know exactly where she is currently. You don't get an address, just a like 4 block radius where it's easier to question.
Well, that's already progress.
Absolutely. Thank you, Haruto.
We can continue if you would like. I have no preparations I need to make.
Uh, are, are you certain?
He nods.
Okay, yeah, Rev will acquiesce to pressing on a little bit, I suppose.
Would you like another investigation roll?
I would not, simply because when you start heading there, you realize that it's starting to get late at night, and almost immediately, Karaja, you're realizing there is one small issue with this.
Mm.
When you personally, when you start questioning people, get a lot of glares and glowers and a lot less information. You're getting the feeling that you're going to have to at least prepare a little bit to figure out the exact words or a different face in order to question people. While some of them would be willing to answer reverence, you do quickly notice that they it's the kind of willingness of like, hey, I'm answering something, so you leave me the fuck alone,
Mm.
which you know is a you can't trust those answers.
Mm-hmm. Um, I would say it's probably reasonable. Like the first couple of attempts, character's a little sort of uncertain as to why he's getting these more clammy answers, or well, I say clammy, more like cagey answers. And then probably remembers, oh yeah, I look like a being, and relaxes his glamour. So he has ears and a tail.
Now you get a lot more people who are curious in you, but still being very dodgy because they have no idea how that's possible.
I was wondering if that would change the answer at all, but that's fine.
You get some people starting to ask, so is that what happens when a human and a tabaxi mate? Because that's weird.
Character politely informs us, no, he is actually a fox.
You're getting a lot more of the people are now curious in you over aggressive, which is better, but still not getting answers. Again, it seems like if you want to be able to get answers here, you're going to have to spend some time and think about it and then come back in a few days. Which probably, honestly, a few weeks when you come back to Dolvaran. Or months, you might not come back for a while, who knows?
I'll let us retire for now.
He doesn't argue the point.
Anything else people would like to do before you head out?
Pick up those instructions for the board game.
Good news. You didn't have to say that out loud. Permelia did it for you.
Hell yeah. Okay, in that case, I would like to grab Solastra if possible.
Sure.
I'm assuming Slostra is mostly going to the Bearded Anvil, so I don't think that's difficult. Correct
Solastra.
me if I'm wrong.
What's up, Six?
I have a new fun project that I'd like your help with.
Sure. What is it?
Permelia showed me this board game that apparently military generals use to practice their generalizing. Anyway,
Okay.
she copied the rule book, but we don't have the pieces. So, do you think you could make pieces, like little figures that look like all of us?
Yeah, I definitely could.
Oh my god.
Have you played the game?
Nope.
Sounds interesting. Do we need a board?
Yes. She says with complete confidence, despite not knowing.
Do you have the rules? Can I see them?
No.
Well, I can certainly make pieces, just one for each person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but you have to make me look super cool.
Oh, definitely.
And also we need a Permelia piece.
Of course.
And a General Scarlet piece. I don't actually know what he looks like. And we also need the Butcher piece.
Okay. I'll get to work then.
Okay. So I'm going to ask for smithing tools for this, but first I'd like an intelligence check from Slostra.
Sure. Um,
That is high enough that you understand that when she says the butcher, she means her father and not a different butcher that you know, or someone just called the butcher, or that giant metal black thing that you fought before. Anyway, smithing tools, you can use your wisdom as usual. They look lovely. It takes you a few hours, but you cheat a little bit, use some god magic, in order to shape them in ways that would normally take days. And because of god magic, you also magically paint them,
nice.
and thus you have made miniatures of each and every one of your party members, which gets too meta for me to think about.
Oh my god, Solastra Carito looks so cool.
I think yours came out pretty good too.
Hell yeah, it did. Wow, do I really look like that?
Hell yeah, you do.
Fuck. Oh my
Can we
god,
play
look
now?
at Leo. He looks fierce. Determined.
I'm
course.
upset. So apparently, both somehow she just guessed on your father's look, and it's weirdly accurate.
Bro,
Eye patch and all.
you got the eye patch on the right eye. Holy shit. Did your
I just
god...
kinda guessed.
Bro, was like Tharnacool involved in this? Did I say that right?
You did. He's always involved in things that I create.
Does General Scarlet look equally cool, but we don't know what he looks like?
So you go, well, you know he's supposed to be pretty old at this point, but he apparently has red hair. So you give this really cool, like, bearded dude who has red hair that's fading into a grayish white and looks badass as fuck.
Oh my god. Celestra, you're the best. Have I ever told you that?
Thank you.
Okay, I'll tell you what. When Permelia's teaching me how to play, come do watch with us, and I'll have her teach you how to play too.
Ah, yes, please. I'm excited.
You even got the smugness right on Dad. What the fuck?
You like it?
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. Have you been spying on me?
No.
But, like, in the past?
Definitely no.
Can priests do that?
Not me.
Six looks suspicious of Celastra.
I promise.
I'm giggling too hard in real life to continue.
So you prepared successfully. You have made these things. I assume that you've kind of packed them up and wrapped them up so this way they don't get damaged. Is there anything else people would like to do before you go traveling? Let's continue to push away the actual traveling.
Seems that time has come.
In that case, uh, you gather your things, you gather supplies, you find your mounts. Mira, by the way, has been being taken care of by the Tandem Imperium for most of the time, and as you start preparing to leave, she seems excited to be able to leave the walls. You have a cart simply because you have a cart this entire time and you're not heading straight to the Rasahari. VD has agreed to come along, if you remember, simply to take everything back in the end, and intends to hide if any fighting starts to happen that seems dangerous. I have to ask a very important question. Do you just start following the roads to the southeast, or do you take a stop at your guild house first?
My vote is on Guildhouse.
I
Might
think
as well
we
stop
agreed
in.
we wanted to, yeah.
I don't recall why we wanted to go, but I do. I am fine to go there.
I think we wanted to talk to Sand, right?
Sam left. He was only there for a month.
Is VD also with us?
She is. She's planning to just ride on the cart, but yes.
Okay. Wasn't
Is
it
it-
to drop off the seeds?
I had brought that up out of character to be like, you know, I don't really know if at any point Leo would have has identified the seeds and knows like how long they take to grow, and like do you have to be there when it finishes growing to sort of be the controller of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there was just sort of like the concept of leaving the seeds. Yeah, that's right. I think the idea of leaving the seeds to defend the guild house, if it worked that way.
I'll let you roll Arcana with spending the idea that you cast Identify and then try to figure it out.
Oh, great.
Not completely sure. You do understand these seeds will grow faster than a normal plant, but that doesn't mean instantaneous, and that certainly doesn't really answer the question of how does it know what not to attack.
Honestly, it might just be something to leave to VD. Just be like, hey, do you want a pet?
If it's possibly dangerous, I don't want to leave it with VD.
Those plant monsters were tough. Maybe we do it when we come back?
I should mention
That-
that last thing I said was out of character, but
That sounds good. We'll do it when we come back. That way we can keep an eye on it when it grows.
I thought that we wanted to go back to the guild hall because Rev like wanted to talk to us about secret guild stuff. She gives a look at Rev.
Oh, I had been meaning to on the road, but that works out. Yes. You can go back, see the guild hall, and I can talk about something I've been meaning to talk about for a while.
So it sounds like you head back to the guild hall. Travel there, it's not difficult. You've been through these pathways many times. Again, there's not really roads there, but you know where you're going. You follow the mountain, you find exactly where your winery is. You notice that some plants are starting to grow a little wild because no one's really been taking care of it. But in the other hand, you notice that some of the plants that you grew that are supposed to be fruit are starting to actually grow rather healthily. So maybe with some proper care, you might actually turn it into a real winery. As you actually open the doors to your winery, you notice on the table there are dozens of letters that have been piled up on the table as if something has been coming in, putting it there, and leaving.
I mean, Rev will go look at the letters.
So I'm not going to go through every single one of them because they become redundant. But you quickly start to realize these are things that you could be doing. and almost every one of them is gang related. And there's like 20 of these. There's things about investigate a murder that could have been done by a tabaxi, investigate gang activity in a different part of the Umbral district, investigate a gang that seems to be made out of half orcs, investigate human involvement in the gangs of Dulveran. Uh, it just goes on and on. Most of them aren't a large amount of gold, but you quickly get the idea that they're being sent directly to your guild house with the intention of this is for you to decide to do, and if you don't do this, there's a good chance it just won't get done, or the guards currently are trying to take care of it. Many of them have actively working with the guards for these investigations, but you get the feeling that this is just too much for your team to do without just never leaving.
Uh,
Actually, because you're looking at it, Rev, could you also throw me insight? You're not sure why you're not getting the more traditional stuff of missions, and especially as you sort through, you don't see anything that's like the Metal Temple or anything to that degree of large bounty things. These all, at most, are 30 gold to 40 gold, uh, making you a little bit confused.
So Rev has his own thoughts, but out of curiosity, do these all seem like they're from the same sender, same office, same type of
Yes,
print? Okay. Rev's gonna push them aside or off the table or whatever.
you do so.
Alright, is everyone here?
Sup?
I take it VD and Perm are also present?
If you'd want them to be, or else they're just outside.
I think they should be present. Rev thinks they should be present.
Then they're present.
Okay, I guess this is as good a time and as place as any. Maybe actually real quick right before we begin, uh Salastra, or I'm sorry, not Salastra, Leorin, would you mind using that spell to check for those shadow things? I'm just being paranoid.
sure. I use it.
You use it, you don't sense any of the shadow things.
Leo just nods at you without show of concern.
Okay. I don't know if this is safe to talk about here, but I also don't think it's necessarily safe to talk about anywhere. So, I had been asking some questions of Sophia, and that includes that of Idola and what they are and their nature, I suppose. As I recall, we only had a lot of speculation to go on for some time, so I suppose I wanted to maybe fill in some.
Okay.
Blank. Where to begin? So Idola are, well, I think we figured this out by now, but are comprised of souls, many souls. I don't know how to do this. I asked Sophia a bunch of specific questions, and so I'm not sure how to present this information. They have a consciousness. They create a vestige to how to put this. It's sort of like a limb almost for the idola, meaning it is able to move and perceive things for it. And sometimes that vestige will develop its own consciousness, its own, I guess, ideal or a word separate from the idol itself. That is the corruption.
So, if I recall, Sophia's core word was hope or something.
Correct.
But another word eked its way out and was hatred or the
I believe it was just death, but yes.
death, yes.
Rev kind of checks everyone to see, you just kind of do a vibe check.
Character is listening politely and patiently.
Same with Celastra.
And same with Nuvali.
VD has started looking out the window, clearly a little bit disinterested because she doesn't really understand any of this stuff. But Permelia is listening politely.
Leo scratching his chin.
Okay. I'm okay. I'm not sure how else to say this. I asked some questions. Well, she was in the Rasahari Desert for a while. The Idola was the Death Idola. It was, I suppose. Well, no. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Rev, get your shit
Rev looks
together.
at Tix.
It's fine, man. Take a breath. It's
Rev
cool.
breathes. I asked her if she knew anything about, because it was fresh on my mind at the time when I asked, Rosawin's father and what happened with that. She said she's aware of many things since that's where her vestige was. She said the ancient dragon that was guardian of the Rasahari was slain by a Rasaharian, and soon thereafter was when the monsters there started to appear. She doesn't know if it was connected per se, and that was 11 years ago.
Shit, really? 11 years?
He nods.
6, could you do me a favor and roll me either intelligence or wisdom? That's also when your mom died.
Yeah, that's... Huh. That's about when my mom died, and about when I traveled to go see my dad.
I think, yeah, Razier's pin.
I have a theory. Karato showed me, with his magic bottle, a vision of where my mom is now, and we saw an Eidolon. I told you that much. But we saw a very, very large skeleton, too. Isn't that right, Karuto?
He nods. It was of some kind of vast creature.
I kind of wonder if they're related. I don't know how or why. I have to assume that Rosawind is telling the truth about what happened. Why would she lie? Why would she blackmail all of us?
Skern. In Leo's readings about the Rasahari, would he have caught anything about kind of like a dragon that could have been like a protector of the desert, like maybe a predator that would scare off large monsters? And similarly, like, because I think there was sort of like a guardian dragon of Dulveron, quote unquote. Like if there's any legend or lore about like monsters that have been driven away from our area.
Roll me history. So, a lot of your readings about the Rasahari from elsewhere get muddled very quickly, largely because they're not sure which is myth and which is true. But you do know, at the very least, they know that they worship spirits from the ground that actively seem to repel invaders. Uh, Many of those spirits are believed to not truly exist or be something else entirely. So it's not inconceivable that they worshipped a big dragon as a spirit.
Okay, and it doesn't really give Leo anything that he'll open up about.
Skern. Do I know where my mom was supposed to be or what she was supposed to be doing when she died?
I'll let you roll wisdom because the answer is yes, but you're also the person who wouldn't pay attention.
I didn't pay attention.
Correct. Like, you definitely were like, every time she left, you were told where she's going. And especially as you got older, you just stopped caring. She was gone. That's all you cared about.
So I take it from what you've shared, Reverence, that Sophia's not all knowing, omnipotent in any way. She knows what she's experienced.
You know,
I consulted with Crow on this, and she loaned me some components to a spell that I had researched. That long and short of it is, for particular Eidolon, were I to cast the spell upon the item, I would learn significantly more about it, tapping into their history on a divine scale. It's quite expensive to cast, but if there's something that Sophia can't tell us about an Eidolon that we need to know, I'm just sharing that that's a tool I have.
that's good to know.
Does Sophia know why this person killed the dragon?
She does not, but I asked her. I asked her if she might have a guess as to why. Her take on it was that there was a war going on, and there was a very high chance the dragon disagreed with the war. But Sophia does not know what the war was about.
Permelia,
Yes?
you told me a story that the butcher killed a bunch of Aridians. When did that happen?
Well, many times during that war, but the one in particular that he's most known for was when we sent nearly 1,000 people on a mission of mercy of just to gather the wounded and leave, and he butchered all of them. Um, they weren't even armed. That was about 11 years ago.
Motherfucker! Six gets mad.
Another research point, Skern. The last pale moon, timeline wise, the one that had more recently caught, I think it was the second pale moon. Some of the more modern cases of dementia.
That's more recent. That's like 6 years ago.
Okay.
Look, okay, I didn't have anything to do with this.
I believe you.
I mean, that long ago, surely you were just young. Far too young for any of this.
Would only be like 13. Wouldn't you only be about that age?
Yeah. What else did she tell you, Raph?
Let me see here. I think that was it regarding the Rasaharian. Regarding Idola. Just a few points, I suppose. I asked her if corrupted Idola want anything. Obviously, hers being the death incarnation wanted destruction and revenge. She said it was emotion drawn from where it came from. I asked her some questions regarding how Idola are made with its souls, yes, but like I think it is their word is associated when they are created. It is a focus in their mind, I think. They all have to believe the same thing or something.
Roll me intelligence and I can clarify that one. So as you're speaking, you do get an idea of she explained it a bit differently than that. It's not so much that the word, it's that there needs to be a place for the power to go. Like the domain wasn't created, it already existed. Like they need a pocket dimension for all the souls to go into.
Rev definitely explains that.
Thus, mass death wouldn't just create one, there needs to be a catalyst, more or less.
So if someone intentionally killed a whole lot of people, could they create an Eidolon on purpose?
Would Rev be able to surmise that?
I'm going to take your previous 15 and go. They'd have to know what they're doing. Additionally, there's still more questions, like she couldn't answer why they're happening more frequently or how they're happening more frequently. So there's definitely something else weird going on.
Okay, Rev says as much.
I'm only helping you clarify because I told you the stuff like 4 months ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
For example's sake, has Sophia told you how she came to be? Certainly something she has direct experience with.
No, we didn't talk about that. I suppose I should ask her. I had a lot on my mind.
Reveral wisdom. Okay. Yeah, continue.
Leo's just kind of like, I imagine Leo is listening intently, but also writing things down as this discussion is happening. He has pages that are collations of different conversations about eidolons that he's like scribbling in.
I actually think that's about all I've got.
That's still a lot more than my country ever taught me.
There's still a lot we don't know, but I think this puts us in a better position.
As possible as it is for Sophia to answer the question of her origins, it may serve as the knowledge we learn from that could serve as a warning sign to those who are in danger. We found that something happened that she knows about, and we saw something similar developing elsewhere. Or it could give us an anchor for other searching of other cataclysmic or tragic events, something that we could connect to.
Rev nods.
Well, is there anything else you would like to discuss with Rev as he's kind of fidgeting, clearly embarrassed about the fact he had to public speak about all these things he learned?
Rev, where did death come from?
How do you mean?
The Eidolon that we fought. You said it's like when it wants to. I don't really get it. Be its own person?
Yeah, manifests free will, the vestige. That's what I was trying to explain earlier. I don't really get it. She said it was emotion drawn from where it came from, meaning whatever I think whatever solar souls comprise the vestige. So something took over?
A lot of people who wanted death took over?
Or one that really wanted death more than the other ones.
Can a very powerful person control a whole Eidolon?
I am not 100% certain how it works, but it is my understanding that one soul sort of speaks for it. I think.
When we get back from Aridia, we have to find that Eidolon in the Rasahari.
We will.
Maybe Rosawin knows something. It was a skeleton in a big building, right, Karito?
He nods.
God, usually Leo's notes are so organized, but I'm not finding what I'm looking for. I don't know if I could roll to remember, but there was like a corrupter of souls, or there was like a figure that
Roll wisdom, because I know what you're talking about.
of cores is what it was. I just don't.
Destroyer, of course.
Ah, yes. And did Sophia explain what a core is? Is she the core that all of these vestiges connect to? Or her vestiges, at least?
This out of character is where I'm afraid I'm going to get the terminology confused, but Rev understands it.
Again, I'm being nice because I told you this stuff months ago.
Thank you.
Uh, Rev, you are well aware that the core is where the domain lies. Sophia is the core. So, yes, her vestige is just one of her limbs, and thus a destroyer of cores would mean someone who's killing Sophia instead of one of the small ones. It's wherever their domain is would be considered their core.
Okay. I just wonder if there's a, for lack of a better word, but something that is rotting away the cores and then creating opportunities for these vestiges to turn. But I am perhaps over speculating.
So, I hate to bring this up, but if we want to talk about this in Aridia, they know a bit about it. Our military has been trying to catch them, though we just think they're big spirits that are pretending to be gods. Um, and reuniting their vestiges with their cores is one of our main tenets because it has special things happen. Um, I could probably get at least Leo or Karato into a temple to ask some questions.
I think that would be wise.
Very least, I'm starting to realize that this isn't common knowledge, and I should probably know why they know that. Well, is there anything else the party would like to discuss as they're in their guild house?
Does not seem that way.
Completely fine. I mean, to be fair, technically speaking, you just got expo dumped by Reverence. Good job, Rev.
Yay, I don't think I messed it up.
Just out of curiosity, I don't think we had to roleplay it necessarily, but would Rev want Leo's room? At some point, he would probably well, first of all, he would go in there and he would see the guild badge that was laid out for him. And he would probably in the midst of grabbing some of his stuff, he kind of assumes that he needs to pack the room and move out to the outside area. But he kind of flips the badge over a couple times, and this one was, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was excellent.
Oh, yeah, this looks way better than all the other ones. Now, clearly marked. I believe, Six, do you want to describe what it looked like again?
I'm trying to remember what it was. I remember on one side was a book, and on the other side was swords and lightning bolts, I think.
Something like that.
Sounds right to me. But it's perfectly made. Looks as if it was almost so painstakingly created out of metal that whoever did this had to work very slowly, very carefully, and in many ways it's like a metal drawing in your hands, like a sculptor physically made it. When compared to everyone else's that you've seen, a lot of them seemed a lot cruder, a lot quicker, and in many cases, almost as if they're mass produced, because let's be honest, that's basically what Celostro's Divine Channel Divinity does. It's mass production.
Leo doesn't know that and probably assumes that Celestra made this. And took extra time on it for some reason. He flips it around a few times and in his head he's kind of debating what to do, and ultimately shoves it in his inner jacket pocket, and then gathers up the rest of his stuff and will at some point ask Rev if he wants the room and just kind of follow your lead from there.
No, it's yours. That's fine.
Uh,
As I recall, we hadn't finished completely outfitting the space, correct? We only had a few bedrooms to even speak of.
Currently, you only had a bedroom and a barracks, but you intended to make an individual bedroom in the future. Just haven't spent the money to do so yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who doesn't care?
Leo pauses and just nods and says, well, if you change your mind. Or if you know if anybody else wants privacy, I suppose. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I should ask Navali. And then, long story short, Leo will offer, like, tell Navali that his room is no longer his if she wants it. The implication that he's giving you and Permelia privacy.
I can talk to Perm about it, but Skern, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought Navali and Perm had a room.
In the guild house, not currently. No, you currently sleep in the barracks with everybody else. That's partially why you've been staying in Dulverad, because you do have your own individual room.
Oh, that's fair. I mean, are you certain, Leo?
It's just a room.
If no one else will take it, then sure. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Leo nods. He wasn't trying to make a big deal about it, and nor did I mean to as a player. It was just sort of like logistics.
Yeah.
That being
He's
said,
moved
you're
out.
only staying here for like a day, so it's
Yeah.
not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, you stopped by, you pushed all the letters off of your desk, and Rev clearly doesn't care about them. You talked about things, you spent the night here. Any other conversations you'd like to have before you begin heading back on your trip to the southeast?
We go.
Congratulations, you have begun your travel time towards Aridia. It's going to be quite a bit of a journey. For the sake of some expediency, I will let you know. The first 6 days are very peaceful. You have traveled nearby these roads before, they're not these direct roads. Very quickly, you realize that these are well guarded in some senses. Uh, you do still see wildlife, and you do at one point encounter wolves, but you're not level 3 anymore, you're level 9. I'm not going to do a wolf encounter, which you will absolutely slaughter.
No, those wolves were really strong last time.
Yeah, we could be
They,
challenged.
they almost TPK'd us.
Oof.
I'm skipping the wolves. If you would like to mark up as many level 5 slots as required for wolves, by all means. But these are still clearly well guarded compared to other roads. While there's still some minor threats, you clearly don't see signs of banditry. You clearly don't see signs of much bigger and scary animals. More things that, if they got hungry and scared and thought you might be possible, they might. But even then, it's unlikely to be that dangerous. You even passed by other merchants at the time, many of which wave to you. Almost every one of them gives you a strange look because they seem more humanoid than you, largely human based. Some dwarves, some half elves, but more human than your group. But none of them question it. And I will simply ask, is there any kind of, during that 6 days of travel, conversations you would like to have?
Should probably get the lowdown from Permelia on how exactly a group of our make and model are going to waltz into Aridia.
Oh, I thought it was obvious, so I guess I didn't think about it. Uh, you and you, she points towards Leo and Karato. Uh, you're clearly just also people who maybe from a faraway nation but want to explore Aridia, and there'd be no issues, and everyone else is our servants. She gives a half-heard smile to Navale as a please don't hate me for saying that.
Navali has that look of like, I figured this was going to happen, and that's why she packed the maid outfit.
My dude, I'm gonna serve the fuck out of you. I'm your bodyguard, clearly.
Well, yes, I thought if you were armed, you could still be servants. It's just obviously we trust you because you've been with us for a long time. And if anyone asks, that's what we tell them. And if it has to be a really complicated lie, you serve the Lavinia family.
Are we going to Gerallia?
Yeah, it's where my parents are.
Are both of your parents von Gerallia?
My mother isn't, no. But yes, I figured I probably would try to avoid talking too much because I'm sure everyone noticed I have a tendency to stutter and overthink. And if I overthink too much, the guards might question more, and questioning too much would be a problem. But if you just say you work for me, they probably wouldn't question too much.
Okay, let me practice. I work for Permelia. Are you impeding the lady's progress? She's very busy.
Full name.
I work for Permelia Kiara Lavinia von Gerallia. Are you impeding the lady's progress? She is very busy.
She just kind of points a thumb towards 6. They'd probably buy it.
Oh, let me try. I would hate if this got back to her parents. Are you questioning nobility?
You can see her actively putting her hands on her face, not because she thinks it's not going to work, but realizing that, oh no, you're going to have to use my name, and this is going to be embarrassing no matter what.
Six's true form is a Karen.
Oh no.
Just on the note of your name and identity, are you not, as far as Aridia knows, bound to be with, I should say, as far as Arturius knows, because hopefully Aridia thinks that Navalia is dead, but as far as Arturius knows, are you not bound to Navalia at all times? And if so, if you are in Aridia, that would suggest that Navalia is nearby.
That is correct. But we're not heading towards her homeland, so I doubt he'd consider much if he heard about any of this. And as for too much lying, she draws the fake oath keeper that's lost your maid a while ago. As long as no one actively tries to identify it, we should be fine.
Leo seems convinced that that is good enough.
Would it be wise to see if we could, I don't know, cover up my appearance a little?
Do you
Are you
have any
gesturing to your
suggestions?
Are you gesturing to your ears or tattoos when you say that?
The
Or your
tattoos.
It's not the worst idea, considering that technically you are currently committing constant heresy, but it's also a tattoo that is hard to remove.
Yes. I was maybe thinking a little makeup, maybe, but I don't know how well they would be able to cover them up.
As a reminder, your entire forehead is just a helm symbol.
Mhm.
Yeah, I suppose that's what I meant by tattoo. I didn't know if you had other, if you were considering the others as well.
I like to think though that her banes were able to cover it up for the most part, though.
It's still pretty obvious that you have a holy symbol on your head, but it's not completely clear who it's to when your bangs are over it.
That's fair.
How is anyone good at using makeup to cover up large portions of someone's forehead to completely change what's there? Looks towards Karato.
Carter looks blank.
I mean, if it's makeup, I know something. What are you talking about exactly?
Navali
Gestures
will,
towards Navali's tattoo on her forehead.
yeah, Navali will lift up her bangs.
Is this something a disguise kit could do?
Uh, yes, though it's going to be a pretty high DC.
I don't know. You could try.
You want to do a practice run?
Are you cool with that, Navali?
Yes. I mean it's would be better and safer for the group if I were to uh make it easier.
Disguise kit charisma.
Size crit charisma, correct.
Dang.
So the DC was 25.
Oh.
So your original thought was, okay, if we just try to create a base and then mix it so it looks like her skin, uh, this could work, but it takes some time, and you quickly come to the problem of you can tell that there's makeup on and covering. That's not really what you're trying to do. So you figure out after a bit of mixing and matching, and this takes about an hour and a half of going, the secret is less trying to make it match her skin and more just trying to make it seem like a different tattoo. So instead, uh, you just kind of find the color of the darkness of that tattoo and create some extensions. So instead of looking like a helm symbol, it instead just looks as if she has a closed eye and some chains over it, most likely a completely different symbol, and then you can very easily play this off as a, oh, you know how you got a tattoo and then went, this is a terrible idea, so you got a tattooed add-on to fix it? You're doing that with makeup right now, and it looks good. Minimum. You know what? Actually, hold on. You have Permelia with you. She gives you some instructions, and you find out that you can just change a couple things here and there, and instead, she now has that tattoo to one of the five on her head. Most of it's makeup, but it works.
Navali is secretly hoping that she is not considered a heretic from Helm by doing this. This is for the group. This is for the protection of the
What
group.
religion?
What? Okay, yup.
Helm related. This is definitely heresy in your mind.
This is definitely heresy. I just like to keep thinking under her breath. She goes, "This is for the protection of the group. This is for the protection of the group."
Is makeup of this nature like long lasting?
So it's supposed to only last a few days, though. Rev, with a 27, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, especially with your background, that you're used to being able to penny pinch, and you can use some very specialized techniques and some very specialized stuff in your disguise kit. It'll last several weeks. Don't prestidigitate it. If you prestidigitation her, it will go away. To be clear, this is not magical. And you have to instruct Navali, don't bathe too much, especially not on the forehead for the next few weeks.
It's a delicate art.
I will be careful for sure.
Please excuse me pausing for a moment. I had to go look up my holy symbols. You actually have the holy symbol of Zudan technically on your forehead right now.
Who is Zudan?
One of the five: air, sky, lightning. Easily angered when you decide to do anything that is against the rest of the five, or break the heritage, or what the bounds of what humans can do.
Oh, he
Likes to
must
strike
love.
people down with lightning.
He must love me then. Navali says sarcastically.
I'd like you to roll me another religion check.
I swear to God, if I actually do well in this roll, I'm gonna be mad. Okay.
I honestly, at this point, it's a game.
Yeah.
You are not smited by lightning. Therefore, probably true.
Probably. I don't know, maybe this god and Celestor's god are maybe duking it out with lightning bolts.
Perhaps.
I don't say that in character, by the way.
It's okay. Celestia's god doesn't actually use that much lightning. She's all about fire and brimstone.
Hmm.
Is there any other conversations you would like to have before? Well, honestly, I'll probably take a break in a moment, but let's see if there's any other conversation you'd like to have during the 6 days.
How far away are we?
At the end of the 6 days, you'd be about 2 more weeks away, though you'd be starting to enter the Aridian border.
Gotcha.
Which, might change some threats around.
Kiara. Go ahead.
Sorry.
You.
I guess the only thing I'd want Navali to ask Permelia is there a certain way that she should act? Like, sort of, if she should be, like, more quiet, if she should give off the appearance that maybe she doesn't speak very, like, common very well, like...
If you pretended not to speak common very well, it would look poorly on me. So, no, but you're well armed, so clearly I have you there as a bodyguard.
Okay, alright, that makes sense.
She's still wearing her mother's armor.
Yes.
I don't know if there's any symbols on that that would be provocative.
I assume I'd have to change into the maid outfit, like, when we get into the town.
Here's the question, Avali. Do you want to change in the maid outfit while you're in Aridia just in case people see you, or do you want to wear your armor the entire time? Permelia does not give you a suggestion here because she doesn't know the answer.
I guess she'd bring that up with the group. She knows that this armor in particular is special to her people, and she's unsure if, like, people from Aridia might catch on to that, or at least somebody in the military might catch on to that, so it might be worth it to just change when as soon as they get into the Iridian border, but that would also mean that if something happens, that she is not in her full armor.
Yes, I will say you will not be in plate armor while wearing a maid outfit, to be extra clear.
Yeah.
But Battle Maid.
Battle maid.
I'll be nice and say it's, for some reason, 11 instead of 10.
Yeah.
Could Solastra perhaps forge some kind of clip-on piece of metal that would cover up any sensitive symbols?
I don't see why not.
So while Solastra could do that, the issue is less about covering up sensitive symbols and more about the design itself is clearly not Iridian make. It's the kind of thing where anyone who, for example, fought the Viera might be able to make some connections, even if you cover up insignias.
I'm guessing Navali probably doesn't have her old armor on her either.
You never sold it. Do you want it in your bag and carrying around an extra 50 pounds? I'm not going to object. You have a cart.
Is that particular armor considered?
Still very Viera.
It's still very Viera, but it's not as
It has
Viera
a
as
boob window.
it does have a boob window. Perhaps it might be better to be safe than sorry. I can change as soon as we get to the border.
All right, looking forward to your paladin only having 13 AC.
Shield of Faith, baby.
Any other conversations you'd like to have? Six, sound like you had something as well.
Yeah, at some point when we're taking watch during the night, I want Permelia to teach Solastra and I how to play the game.
Absolutely. So, for the sake of some brevity, you quickly learn that there is no need for a board because the idea is you can kind of use whatever's around to be the terrain, and because you're outside, it's not too difficult. And there's a lot of rules. A lot of rules. Weirdly, once you get into it 6, the rules stop mattering to you and more like, oh yeah, it makes sense. I have to do this and this and this when this guy attacks this, and you start thinking in sense of like, yeah, it's like when I'm doing combat training, I have to change my stance and continually shift my weight. I don't think about it once it happens, but that initial 2 hours of watch where she has to go through every single rule makes you worry that you made the wrong decision.
Are you getting any of this, Solastra?
Can I roll intelligence?
Yes.
I'm
No.
not sure.
Okay, let's put it this way. Have either of you actually played Warhammer Fantasy?
Yes.
I have played a variation of Warhammer.
Cool. Imagine your D&D characters trying to learn that game.
Oh my god.
This is a lot harder than I thought.
Okay, and so we roll when?
So when you're doing this attack, and if any of these are a success, that piece is just removed.
Okay. Can we, like, set up a board and go through it using the rules, but, like, doing it live?
Okay,
Celastra
so
made pieces.
how about this? You and Celastra go first, and I'll just kind of like explain what happens each time, and we'll figure it out together. And she just keeps the rule book open in front of her, clearly trying to remember everything.
Oh, I gotta show Permelia Celastra's cool pieces.
Yes.
Also, I try to take the butcher piece away.
Roll sleight of hand.
Can I intentionally fail?
Sure.
Not like Six is intentionally failing. I just think it would be narratively more interesting if she failed.
You definitely get her taking a glance at it, and you can see for a moment her face drop, but she continues to understand why that exists, especially since there was a conversation you had before about both of them existing. Being said, she's weirded out by how accurate the Scarlet piece is because it looks exactly how he imagined he would look.
Oh, that's all Celastra.
Have you met him before?
No.
Okay.
Why? It's accurate?
I mean, I've never met him either, but every description, this is almost exactly it. This is. Apparently, you should just make everything. Could you just make everything?
I love making everything.
Okay. So, we're just gonna keep adding more pieces. Uh, so why don't we make all of our friends, not just the people in the core group? Like,
Oh, Butcher. Not the Butcher, but Butcher.
Okay.
she
Let's make a
pauses
list.
for a moment. Oh yeah, and you then just stop playing the game to make the list of all the miniatures you're going to make for the game you're still learning how to play. Unfortunately, this is too real, and we're going to stop this conversation now. Well, anything else you would like to do before you reach the border of Aridia? Okay, so before we do the scenes that are going to happen immediately, let's take a quick 5-minute break to go to the bathroom and grab drinks.
I'll put us on our
Okay.
break.
Sounds good.
So, the travel was safe and non-threatening. There isn't really a border, so to speak, as you start arriving towards Ridian. You don't see like a wall or anything that would really mark the difference as you walk onto the grass. But Karato, you especially can see in the distance that there are several towers that are clearly man-made and designed for to be able to observe. Most likely, as you came into this area, you were likely spotted, at least if their eyesight is anywhere near as good as yours, or they had any kind of technology to improve their eyesight. It is the seventh day of traveling, and the first thing you notice as you enter Iridian soil is it all feels pretty much the exact same as everything else you've been looking at. Navali, you especially were expecting entering Iridia to see an active war zone where all the trees are on fire and death and desolation everywhere. No, looks like plains. The trees, well, some of them clearly cut down for wood. Not anywhere different from anywhere else you've been. They exist. They live. They seem to be thriving. Almost 2 hours into entering the territory, you see what appear to be a dozen or so, it's hard to count immediately, uh, armored men advancing towards you. Not necessarily threatening, armed, but not directly aimed at you, but clearly approaching. In the back, you can see that they, while walking towards you, clearly do have mounts, though they're not horses. They appear to be the size of a horse, although their face seems almost nonplussed and uncaring, and their bodies seem, well, still four legged, uh, much fluffier. Uh, like they almost puff out a little bit. Uh, they, it's hard to tell how comfortable they are to ride on, as their fluff seems to shake about. But you can see that two people seem to be riding on them without any issues, so they are clearly beasts that could be ridden without any issue. Is there anything in particular the party does as these men approach you?
They're very clearly approaching us, and we're not just like crossing paths on a road.
It's very clear to you that they are approaching you. It doesn't seem like they are trying to cross paths with you. It seems like they are trying to actively intercept you. Again, armed, but not actively trying to attack you. You don't see crossbow bolts directly pointed at you. Overall, they mostly seem bored or as if this is part of their duty.
I'm kind of imagining, people can correct me if I'm wrong, that we've probably changed our seating arrangement, given that some of us are the face, or are more likely to need to play the face. Although, would it make sense for the servants, the quote unquote servants, to be driving?
For the sake of some rewinding, asking these things, Permelia would mention that sometimes the people would prefer to drive, sometimes the servants do. It's not unusual for servants to drive. Um, Obviously, many of you are either in the cart or on one of the mounts, but you can decide who's doing what, and Permelia doesn't seem to think any of it will matter too much.
I'll drive. I have proficiency with land vehicles. Unless someone else wants to.
To be clear, the foxes actually like six pretty well.
Do they really?
I promise you that you play with them.
I definitely play with them.
You've been with these foxes for a few months now, and they've decided who they like and don't like, and it's not based on handle animal. Don't worry, Karato, they love you, but you know it's because they think you're a fox.
Yeah, we're fox friends.
But yes, the party can decide who wants to be in front and who wants to be the face of the party. Additionally, if there's any outfit changes they'd like to do before they entered, please tell me that you did so. Navale, are you in a maid outfit?
I am in a maid outfit.
Also, I've imagined Staluna is probably with us too. I like to think that I have tucked her away, and she's probably asleep anyway, so she probably doesn't mind. Or is she actually flying about?
She only flies about in the middle of the night. She is definitely tucked away, if you want, in the fluff of your maid outfit and just napping.
I think I'll keep her in the cart. Just like a nice, like, sort of secluded place. I'll let everybody know where she is sleeping though, just so that she isn't disturbed. Maybe like covered up like in a bag or something like that.
Sure. She definitely doesn't seem to mind doing stuff like that.
Mhm.
I will mention that roll was to see if how much AC the maid outfit is going to give you. It is just considered close. You only have your dex and shield.
Okay. I gotta figure that out.
It's 10 plus dex plus shield.
10 plus X plus shield. Okay, gotcha.
At some point in the uh, preparation montage, I guess have a quick conversation with, and anybody can weigh in on this, but it's sort of directed towards Carto and Permelia. Permelia had previously indicated that one of us should do the talking. Looks at Carto. Is that something you're comfortable with?
Permelia, would this not be an issue looking so different?
You both do look foreign still, but as long as it's clear that you're visiting, I don't think there would be an issue. They probably wouldn't think you're a threat.
Hmm.
But either of you can roll insight to see how much she believes what she's saying.
I believe her.
Karuto, with a 27, it's less about belief and more about you can tell that she has no idea how this is going to shake out, and she just doesn't know a solution and is just kind of hoping.
Mm-hmm. Fun.
When people
Well, I can back you up. Should the need arise?
I do not. Noted.
Passport to the present.
Okay. Many people are currently approaching. What do you do?
I would take my lead of Perm as to whether to stop or continue.
They definitely prefer that you'd stopped. They're not going to take too much offense if you kept moving and then they had to stop you. But I'd stop.
Cool. Pause and wait for them to approach.
They approach as you. Actually, roll me a handle animal. Let's see how tame these foxes are. Mira's fine. Mira's too intelligent to have to be handle animal.
Did I swap out animal handling? I'm just going to check my sheet. Yeah, no, I've still got animal handling because we're traveling.
Oh, yes. You give just a very quick low whistle, and they seem to immediately understand to take a break and almost lay down. It is actually kind of impressive, and if anything showcases a great deal of control, it's probably going to be easier to explain things if you have this much control over animals. You clearly have traveled a lot, and you're probably fine. Uh, they approach. Uh, Many of them stay back, especially those who are currently mounted. Only 3 of them actually head directly towards you. You can see that their weapons are well made, uh, each of them carrying swords at their sides and numerous javelins at their back. You don't see any long ranged weapon beyond the fact that they could be thrown. They wave you down what definitely appears to be a man, though they're wearing heavy armor, so it can be hard to tell approaches. Where do you hail from and why are you here?
Greetings. We travel from the city of Dolvaran, escorting our good friend, Permelia's full name, but I can't remember.
Allow you to roll wisdom.
Oh god. Oh god. Straight wisdom?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I've got decent stat. Now, come on.
And the
Come on,
DC is
dice.
10 because you've heard
Okay.
it said numerous times by 6 in the volley.
Yep.
Permelia, Kiara, Lavinia von Gerallia. You don't have to say that. It's fine.
Yeah, okay. On a return trip to meet with her parents.
Lavinia family. Well, there's some logic to that. Any objection if we get an idea of anything that you might be bringing aboard? We just need to know if there's any kind of contraband that could be a threat, especially since there has been some problems in this area recently.
Might I inquire what you would be looking for? I might be able to ease your search.
Mostly we're looking for anything that could be used as monster bait. Unfortunately, a couple of the savage creatures have recently come into this area not too long ago, and we need to make sure that no one's bringing stuff to bait more of them in. It would smell like. Have you ever smelled rotten meat mixed with urine and rotten eggs?
I cannot say I've had that unique pleasure.
Yeah, we're looking for anything that smells like that.
I do not think we carry any such things, but you're welcome to test.
If there's no objection, he gives a wave and does anyone else try to stop them from actively searching the cart?
Or just insight check if I can to see if that's all they're looking for.
Go ahead.
Yep.
With a 6, you definitely notice that they are immediately checking mostly any place that appears to have food, so it's probably legit. Maybe, who knows? Though those with decent perceptions can tell they also kind of eyeball everyone inside. They're going to actively stop the cart and continue to look around for a good hour. Is there any conversations you would like to have with them while they do so?
Sure.
Sounds like a no.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Which types of monsters? The goats or the lions?
I wish it was one of those easy things. Gives an eye to you. No. And then just starts looking again.
Have you caught anybody bringing these items in? Have you had subterfuge of any kind?
No, I haven't caught anyone coming in from this area, but something had to bring them in. It's either someone from the outside or someone from the inside. If it's someone from the inside, it's the Black Fang, and we can't handle that. But someone has to supply them somehow, because it's not our food that's doing this.
Map-wise, is this, well, no, never mind. I disregard my thought.
I have amazing news for everybody. They're really bad at looking, so you're not even sure if they caught all your weapons.
I want to know your enemy them as they're searching us.
Sure.
I'm just going to choose the guard who I spoke to, sizing them up, assuming they're all relatively the same.
Sure.
The one that I spoke to, I want to test his constitution versus 14 and his strength versus 10.
Both higher.
Interesting. Okay.
I believe that's how it works. I don't have to give an exact number.
That's right. You don't have to tell me by how much, just higher or lower or the same.
Yeah, they are both higher. Some looking around, but they don't seem to find anything that seems threatening. They kind of eye towards the group a little bit. There is some unease, and the one who initially started talking gives a wave to Karuto. Could I speak to you a bit away from your cart for a moment? There's just some information I think might be beneficial.
Character nods and pauses for a moment. Would the Lady Permelia benefit from such knowledge as well?
Do you think that you would be unable to explain to her any situation? Are you not good at protecting your lady?
I understand. Please.
He walks off about 5 minutes away from the car to try and get out of earshot before turning to you and starting to talk. So, if you're heading to Gerallia, there's two options for you, and I want to give you a warning on both of them. Normally, I would suggest you take the longer route, head to the east, and then start heading south. This way, you would be taking a detour that would avoid the current creatures that are plaguing the land to our south. Uh, some farmland's been attacked by these creatures. We are currently in the process of handling it. Our patrols have been doubled. Do not worry. We actually have some people here who are specialized in handling this. But to the east, we know there's some activities that have been causing more issues. Namely, you have a lot of very well armed savages with you. They are most likely going to, if you head east, get hit by something that's going to make them backstab you. They will likely kill everyone, or at least attempt to, and then run off and join with the Black Fang. So I'm going to give you the option. Either you disarm your servants and your, especially the savages themselves, or you head south. I understand if you don't want to do that, your armaments look fairly nice and it would be hard to hide from them. Your cart's not that big, but I wouldn't suggest abandoning your servants because, to be quite frank, we would immediately arrest them. I'm sure they cost quite a pretty penny.
Character nods along. And is this a recommendation or an order?
Recommendation: we aren't going to give any orders to the Lavinia family. I would suggest going south over east. This is for your own safety, but understand that south is still extremely dangerous. If you happen to run into one of the large creatures, I suggest avoid. I just keep calling them large creatures. Have you met any creatures from the Savage Lands? No, I'm not talking about the savages themselves, the monsters.
Yes, I have had the distinct displeasure of encountering one of their, I believe, antelope.
The ones with the mouths in their chest?
Exactly.
Yeah, gross. No, these things are worse. There's no easy way to describe these things. We've just been calling them large creatures because they're gross. I want you to imagine like a human baby. Now make it the size of a small mansion and make it so anything that leaks out of it burns, like melts anything that touches. We have at least 3 of them in our southern lands right now.
I feel that your warning has gained much more gravity with this information. I thank you.
And that Despite the fact we're telling you to head towards them, I promise you going east would be worse for you.
I understand.
If you do end up finding one, he seems to be sizing you up. Could you just give me a charisma or it's persuasion. You haven't been mean.
Oh god. Okay, let's go. -1. Woo! Oh, nice.
So you said you're with the Lavinia family.
He nods.
Do you have any proof of this?
Personally, I am not with them. I am a friend of Lady Permelia.
The blonde woman?
He nods.
Just gonna roll something privately really quick. These guards suck. All right. So if you do see one of them, as I said, we have patrols down there and we have some specialists down there. Normally, we're supposed to send out magical flare into the air that will let us know, but this is why we normally detour. We're not used to people coming from Dulveran with this well armed in their servant capacity. I'm going to give you something. I need you to promise me that if you make it to Gerallia, you'll just hand it to someone guarding there and tell them to bring it back to us. But if you need it, you will need this. And he's going to hand you what looks to be a small glass, almost bauble of some sort. If you see one of these things, smash it. A big blue light will fly up into the air, and we'll know you saw one of them. Do not engage if you want to be safe. They are very dangerous.
Character nods gravely. This is very much appreciated. I will be sure that the Lady Permelia's family is informed of your exceptional work.
That's going to be difficult considering I never gave you my name.
I was just about to ask.
Lionel Quinn Tucius von Sylvan.
You just made that up on the spot, didn't you?
I did have to look up where he was from, I will admit. The rest of them know.
Lionel Quinn von Tucius what?
Von Sylvan.
2 Vons? Wow.
No, it's just one Von.
Oh, so Lionel Quinn Tucius von Sylvan, okay. He nods. Again, my sincere thanks.
Be
Are we...
safe. You're free to go. You didn't have anything that's contraband, though I have to admit, your rations look weird. Why do you have so much that don't have meat in it? Normally it's really easy to just preserve it. It's just a lot of salt and oil. Like preserving bread for that long just makes it hard and difficult to eat for long periods of time. And the amount of dried fruit.
The one with ears cannot eat meat. She does have her uses otherwise, though.
The one in the maid outfit?
He nods.
I guess she cleans up well.
Exactly that. Very fastidious.
Your party is free to go. As I said, head south. Please keep the lady's eyes from seeing too much of the danger. I promise you, you will see some destroyed farmland. I suggest you keep moving. They likely won't turn around, but if they do, you have a warning.
Excellent. And he's going to return to Permelia and Leorin.
As you do so, he kind of waves. The rest of them kind of back off and start leaving the group. It's clearly heading back towards one of the towers into the far distance.
All
We have
clear?
to. We are free to go. We have two options. However, if we are to maintain the facade, it is possibly best we head south. Apparently, to the east there are what they refer to as savages. Fiona's peoples, likely.
I suppose we should bring that to everybody.
Perhaps once we have gained some distance.
Is there any connecting the dots over like how like south is the long way, if I'm correct, Skern?
East is actually a long way, but
Oh.
South currently has a lot of issues.
Right. I admit that I prefer that we be on our journey as fast as possible, but it's not my call.
You ride a few hours out of the way to make sure that no one could possibly be hearing you. I'll also say, Karata, with your passive perception, you don't see them plant anything in the wagon or see anything out of place. Therefore, you're pretty sure they didn't put kind of any scrying device on you. You would think of that, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, he would have watched them while they were working the entire time with his, extremely high passive perception.
Next campaign, I'm banning passive perception.
No. Perception is great. Perception best skill. Everyone take perception.
Does everyone take the observation feat? You get some time away. Karuto, you don't have to roleplay you explaining everything that I explained to you, so you can actually discuss what you want to do.
So I guess like we take a breather at some point, maybe stop by the roadside and have a chat. And character explains the situation. So everyone could have some input.
South then?
Well, we can still head east.
It is faster to head south.
Mm-hmm. And wait, it's faster? I thought it was the other way around.
No, south is faster, east is longer, but south is also more dangerous because those monsters are roaming. They suggested south because they had things that they believed could cause your servants to go crazy and try to kill you.
How much, asking Permelia, how much longer would east be?
If they haven't changed the roads, it would be an extra 4 or 5 days.
And south is following our pre-planned path about 2 more weeks.
Yeah, south is the route that I thought we'd take. I'm sorry, I guess I didn't think about random monster ambushes.
And who is the Black Fang? Are you familiar?
I'm gonna roll something for her really quick. In fact, actually, 6. Could you do me a favor, open her sheet and have her roll intelligence?
On it. Shockingly high.
Of course it is, it's her.
It's Permelia.
So they're kind of a children's nightmare story. They're originally, when I was younger, they were taking. See, almost says the S word and stopped herself. 6's people, um, they would remove them from servitude and try to bring them back to the Rasa Hari, and they would constantly were doing things like this. but they say that many of them are within our forest lands and that they would do this very violently. They'd oftentimes ambush travelers, bad travelers, as children's stories, and cause the servants to uprise and kill everyone around them and then join them and rinse and repeat. I couldn't tell you more other than the fact that I know from the children's stories they controlled the land itself to create earthquakes, and they say that the servants could hear voices in their minds.
Well, you're not my captor, so if they're trying to turn me against you that way, it won't work. If it
Oh, I know that you wouldn't backstab me intentionally, Six, but if the children's stories are to believe, it's mind control.
I wonder what other Rasahari would be doing in Aridia. Well, I guess you said as much.
She kind of stares at you. Yes, I wonder why we still sometimes go in and see if we can get some people out.
Well, maybe they're doing the same thing.
That that is what I was implying, yes.
Six is sort of like when Permelia concedes this point, she doesn't actually have anything else to say. um I don't know. I'm not worried about these guys. What do you guys want to do?
I would personally like to get there as fast as possible, but if you're afraid of the Rasahari monsters, what do I even call those things?
I don't know. Monsters?
Personally, I'm pretty sure I've seen you guys fight. You'll be fine.
Well, I feel that we probably do not have much of a threat from the Black Thing either, and well, the monsters did not exactly. They were not fun last time I encountered, so my vote would be east.
Guild leader?
Has everyone spoken? Has Celastra mentioned?
I don't think she has too much of an opinion either way.
So out of
Um,
oh, go ahead.
the only thing that I will say is if I'm do I keep wearing this then if we go into much more dangerous territory?
I don't get the impression that the South would be patrolled by Aridians that would be caring about your armor.
If anything, it would make more sense if you're well armored if we head south.
Alright, if that's the case, then I will get changed back to my usual clothes. If we go, of course.
Permelia, you would know the land better. How likely would it be to encounter a new patrol?
Um, so I actually worked for patrols for a while. They have a tendency to be pretty common, especially walking back and forth, though largely we're just supposed to look for bandits or runaways. Um, I wouldn't expect them to give us any hardships because kind of gestures towards herself, Leo, and yourself, Karuta.
We were also given permission by our person who greeted us, Lionel. So we have that. I think that from my perspective, the question is how much danger do we want in order to shave off a few days? I personally would like to travel south and get on with the mission as quickly as we can.
As you say this, VD kind of perks up from behind a crate inside your cart. I don't know if I have a vote, but I don't care about the danger because I'm going to run from it anyway. But aren't you guys going to be like fighting those things anyway when you head there? Isn't it practice?
That's one way of looking at it.
Is VD sort of Leo brings his voice down, not to hide from VD, but sort of just like positing out loud to the people closest to him, and says, like, if we go south, VD will have a very difficult time returning by herself.
You mean in the event that we are not successful?
Well, frankly, in general, even if we go east, they said that they would arrest on site people without any kind of Aridian affiliation.
Yes, but why would she be apart from us?
Well, when she returns to Dolveron, we discussed going straight to the Rasahari once we are done with Permelia's family. The implication that Leo's trying to make, or maybe I'll say it out of character, is like should we tell VD to turn around?
Well, she still can. I understood.
Yeah, like it's pretty. It's going to be pretty rough from her, regardless to which direction we take. She'll be fine while she's with us, but if she has to make the return trip under either from any direction, she could very easily get arrested.
I think that's fair to send her back with the mounts at this point.
It will take longer without your mounts if you send her back now.
I'm not comfortable going through dangerous territory without our mounts. Alternatively, when we're done with what we're doing with Permelia's parents, we simply return to Dolvaran and enter the Rasahari from there.
Actually, that is a question. Would it lengthen our trip or shorten the trip if we ended from the Iridian side?
Significantly shorten.
Oh, shit.
If you wanted to go to the Rasahari from the Iridian side, it's like you just head west. It's right there.
That's pretty cool. I agree with 6.
I'm just going to have VD roll perception for eavesdropping. As you're talking, Karuto, you're the only one who's kind of paying attention. You can tell that she has been listening in and privately cast a spell to herself. And you notice her now look like a human being. She may have been practicing magic for a while.
Character gives a slight wry smile. Leorin, I feel that your concerns may have solved themselves, he says, gesturing with his head toward GD.
Oh, well. Disregard it then.
It is agreed then.
So I think in summary, out of character, we're looking to go east, avoid the danger. VD will disguise self her way back to Dolberon without us.
I heard a lot more votes for South, but if you want to do East, that's fine.
Oh. I kind of misunderstood.
It's
But
more
also-
of, do you want to head south and go a little bit faster, or do you want to head east and instead deal with a different threat?
I think we want to go faster, but also with VD being able to disguise self, surely because you can just come with us.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
she's just going to come with you either way.
I'm not sure we can stop her.
You could. She's only here to take your stuff back.
Fair.
So, I, as the DM, will ask the question, south or east, and just make it a simple vote.
South.
I voted south.
South.
Let's do it.
South it is.
Let's
Yay,
go.
I get to kill you with a giant baby.
Oh shit.
And some real Resi Village vibes here.
After some discussion, you do end up heading south, which, at the very least, means that anyone who might be able to get a visual on you knows that you're heading in the way they suggested. Again, the actual landscape is fairly idyllic. You notice that there is many just plants growing without too much issue. There are trees, fairly common, but it's not to the point of being overwhelming. There's no forest that you can see, just some woodland areas on the way. The first day, no issues. The second day, you. I'm not going to say you. I'm going to say Six and Celestra especially start to notice that it's idyllic to the point where you're noticing everything kind of seems almost the same. Like it's a fake kind of natural. It's the, especially actually Navali would notice this, it's the kind of natural that only happens when someone's curating it. As in, this is definitely supposed to be forest land. This is farmland. And it goes on like this. While it is still very empty in many ways, you can see that nothing's supposed to be wild. There's definitely people who come here and make sure things are where they're supposed to be. And most likely this was probably also part of the patrols. The eighth day goes by without too much issue, though I'm going to ask for Karuto to roll me a perception check.
Absolutely.
Karuto, with your extremely good vision, you do notice that as the sun starts going down, you need to prepare for camp. That a bit to your southwest, some of the land seems damaged. It's almost miles away, but you have very good vision. Uh, and there's not really anything stopping your vision. You just notice that some, what is likely wheat or some kind of other grain of some kind, uh, goes uniform for a while. Then there's obviously splotches where it just stops. And when you're going to head further south, you're definitely going to have to pass by that later. But you can tell that it's like something just burned through it. You could go investigate that now and figure out if something's there, or you could just go, that's a problem for future me.
I'm gonna assume it's one of those babies that I don't want to fucking see.
That said, like, that's not too far away from you as the sun is going down. Do you want to try and hide your cart then for the night?
Yes. After justifying it like that.
Do you describe it to the rest of the party as it's one of those goddamn babies?
In more Kaito-esque terms, yes.
Does anyone object to hiding the cart?
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Makes sense.
Karuto, roll me nature.
Nature, let's go.
Survival, not nature, sorry.
Oh, so that's even better. Okay.
You quickly find spots that are just like, okay, this has a lot of areas that anyone looking would just not even notice. This has places that the foxes can kind of go play in and nap in and be hidden, and also seems comfortable enough for everybody. As long as no one just like leaps up or makes loud noises, no one will know anyone is here for the night. You probably suggest to everyone don't light a campfire if someone's nearby. Admittedly, there is a slight chill in the air, but it's still fairly warm. Like, for the sake of all those people who are not Karuto and thus use a different temperature system, it's about 60 degrees. It's comfortable.
Oh god, I put... Sorry.
At Karuto, we are on the sun.
That 60 degrees isn't on the sun, it's just... Oh god.
You camp out. You probably suggest that you want to take watches for the night.
Mhm.
So go ahead and set up your watches.
Hold on. Shh. I'll take first watch.
Anyone like to get on Karuto?
I'll take third watch.
Rev, I'll take third watch with Celastra.
Okay.
I'll hang with Karuto.
6, Navali, you have been decided for.
Cool. Permelia's also coming on second watch if she's down.
Are you suggesting that she's just going to go, hey, the two people I like the most are on this watch, I'm taking that one? Yes, you're correct.
We gotta play board games, yo.
VD chooses to sleep through the night.
She worked hard. She deserves it.
Also, Karuto overhears the plans to play little tactical men games and very firmly requests that maybe they do not.
Okay, Karuto, I definitely won't.
Karuto looks unimpressed. There is a melting baby somewhere nearby.
I'm not gonna let Symphony of War the Three Emblems Extra Deluxe Second Edition get in the way of watching for a giant melting baby.
Karuto gives Mega... Well, gives Navali a pained look.
She shrugs.
I promise we won't do anything to get us ambushed by a giant melting baby. She seems almost confused saying that out loud.
That's right, she should. It's a terrifying sentence.
All right. First watch, go ahead as you bed down for the night. Discuss what we'd like to discuss and roll your perceptions.
We cannot give advantage if we're not trained, correct?
You can for watches and only watches.
Oh. I can give you advantage then.
Okay, I'll use my 10 perception. Let's go.
Oh boy.
That is the third 19 I have rolled. What is going on?
Karuto.
Yeah.
You keep a close eye on where you saw the damage, and you know for certain nothing is coming towards you. It has not, things have not started burning, nothing at all seems dangerous. To the point where you're pretty sure that if it is there, it has already moved in the opposite direction, and that makes you feel immediately more secure in your location. Additionally, one of the foxes has caught a squirrel and brings it to you as a treat.
I have mixed feelings about this. But Karate will take it because he knows it's rude not to.
It probably goes without saying that Leo has Tiny Hut up. I don't really know that he expects people to be sleeping in it, although he might have recommended it just based on the proximity to danger. At some point during the watch, Leo kind of is Carto just sitting around?
Mm-hmm.
What is okay?
Probably caring for his weapon.
Carto, Rev wishes for me to talk to you.
Is it for a purpose?
It's it's for my reintegration with the party. He did not lay out an agenda, but I suppose I wanted to frame it in this way so that it is straightforward in its purpose.
I see.
I suppose I wanted to ask how you feel. And if now is not the time, he's sort of like, not that Karuto is like, freaking out with your 10 perception, but it's more like he sees that you're very focused. And he says, if now is not the time, I can find another time.
I feel like the danger may have passed. If you wish to talk, I can talk.
I admit I don't know how to initiate. But given the framing of the conversation, was there anything that you wanted to talk about?
I suppose there is one thing. So, when Six fell in combat, and we had to bring her back to Dolvaran, do you know what we had to do to restore her to her body?
Excuse me. I don't know what you're referring to.
Which part, Leorin?
Leo's like, Leo is sort of just like looking around, and he looks at the people who are sleeping and says, the whole thing. I mean, Six has fallen as much of as any of us have, as far as I knew. And the healers among the group always pick them back up.
I had her friends at this. Leorin, I was fairly certain she told you to your face. She died.
Out of character, I don't remember being told that.
She did not.
He did not, correct?
Whoops.
And to be clear, out of character, Leo, this is the first time you heard that
Yeah.
Six died.
Carto, I don't believe that I've ever been told this. And Leo says that with some degree of conviction.
I fear I may have misstepped, but now I have started down this path, I will continue. While in combat in the depths of a mine retrieving material, she was slain by spirit. We had to carry her back to Dolvaran, as that was the only place we knew where we could perhaps potentially bring her back. The ritual was expensive. It would explain why you might have heard that the guild's fund are slightly more depleted as to when you left. But the ritual itself, this is what I wanted to speak of. We gathered in the Thanem Imperium with the caster that we had hired, and we were asked to speak to her spirit, of why she should come back. I will leave to the others what they said if they wish to share it. But I would know, Leorin. What would you have said in our situation? How would you have appealed to Six?
Leo is like visibly a little shaken, I would say. Not requesting an insight roll. There's just like his mind is racing, and he's sort of like looking at you, looking at Six, looking at the surroundings, and you can probably imagine the sight of somebody in distress, and Leo's probably stumbling a little bit and says, that's a hell of a thing to ask. What can one say?
We have time. You may think on it.
Leo's he's like Leo's grabbing at his chest and kind of like fumbling with something in his jacket. And he says, I will think on it, but I would have stopped it, or I would have tried. It shouldn't have come to that.
I will bite my tongue at the implication that, conversely, we did not.
That's. I just mean that Celestra has diamonds. I have my own means as well. Because I feared the day that it would happen. And I wasn't there to use them.
And yet Celestra was. Think on that, Leon.
Out of character, Leo probably is like, were it not this situation, Leo would probably like get up and go for a walk, but he realizes he can't, and just sort of like reserves himself and like pulls inward, and just has no more to say.
Character continues cleaning his weapons.
That seems like a good place to just kind of cut until the hours pass and you have to wake up the next group, which gets real awkward as the next group includes 6.
Leo lets Karuto do that while re-upping the tiny hut.
Hey.
The creature, as far as I can tell, has moved away from the camp. You may play your tiny men game.
Hell yeah. Okay. She slaps herself in the face a few times. I'm awake. I'm good. Okay, leave it to us, Karuto.
Character smiles and nods, and then goes to get ready for bed.
I promise that we won't make too much noise, and we'll make sure if it comes back that you'll be awakened immediately.
So, Symphony of War, the Three Emblems?
She has already started setting up the pieces in front of you.
Hell yeah. Navali, come check this out. Permelia's been teaching me how to play. There are a lot of rules.
Navali will walk over for a brief moment and watch, but she wants to give the idea that she's still kind of alert because of this creature sighting.
Perfect. Navali, could you roll a perception?
Is anybody else gonna roll perception, or is
No.
it just me?
Oh, did we not
Okay.
get to?
I am going to say for this case and this case only, the answer is no.
Excellent.
So does that mean I just do a regular one?
Yes.
Okay.
Permelia trusts you implicitly, and she has a good reason to do that.
Yeah.
Navali, your ears twitch every now and then. You can hear that there is definitely creatures around you. Nothing big, and certainly nothing threatening, and certainly nothing that's getting into this magical bubble that's around you. You kind of listen for the vibrations of something large. You've felt large things before. You know that it feels different. And you've quickly come to the realization that Karuto is right. It either left or wasn't there to begin with, like caused damage and left that area. There is no feeling of the ground shaking, there's no sound of any kind of vibration of movement. And even if it was asleep, if it's that large from the rumors that you've been hearing, you'd be able to hear it from miles away.
Gotcha. Um, yeah, I'm gonna still stand by what I said. Navali probably watches for a little bit for the game, but then kind of given that she's still sort of like worried about the creature, she will keep her attention on like the surroundings.
Though it also does make sense that you do pay attention to your surroundings because you actually care about the animals nearby too, which cannot fit in a tiny hut.
Yes.
They seem to be fine. Every now and then one of the foxes wakes up and kind of chases something it hears, but stays close enough that you can see it. And it's always something small, like a rodent or something that likely could easily be killed by the fox itself.
I like to imagine Mira also, given that she's been around the foxes long enough, probably would alert Navali if they were doing anything weird.
It's true. Additionally, you do notice that Staluna just flies around above you as if doing its own scouting mission, and every now and then lands on top of the hut as if waiting to see if you would give it fruit because it knows you're awake.
Yeah, she would give some fruit. Saluna's doing her best.
You get the feeling it's not helping, but it looks nice.
It looks nice, and she appreciates it.
6.
Hello.
You're still learning this game. You think you're paying attention to everything, and every now and then you go, there's a sound, and look away as if you're pretending to stay and watch. You are focusing very hard in the game and trying to learn its rules. It is really hard to do both, but you think you're doing both perfectly.
Six does her best to learn and play the game and probably gets creamed.
Correct. You're still learning the game.
She is aggressive about learning. She's as aggressive about learning as she is about everything else that she likes. She asks a lot of questions to Permelia. Why did it work that way? What does this mean? Why is it that way?
Yes, Navali, you also hear every single one of the questions and know that you have to be extra alert. In fact, that is why you're not getting help, because it's not that Permelia is not also trying to help you, it's that she's actively trying to teach someone a complicated board game. And I'm going to give you a spoiler. We've all played complicated board games. We know it's hard to multitask when doing that.
Yes.
It's true. Navali figured, and she's just given the two of them like time to have fun.
But overall, your watch ends. 6, you have lost 2 games in the middle of the night. You almost say again before Permelia goes, no.
She's in the process of demanding a third. Her mouth is open.
No, we wake. I need sleep. She needs sleep, points at Navali.
Tomorrow your ass is going down, Permelia.
Fine. Sleep. And they go wake up Celestra and Reverence for the final watch. Celestra, Reverence, same rules. I assume you're not playing a hardcore board game unless you can actually go with advantage.
I think that's the plan.
Yeah. Do you want to roll with advantage?
I have a 3. What do you have?
I have a 5.
Go for it.
Rev, in the middle of the night, you do catch something in the air. Uh, Definitely the sounds of footsteps far away, like the sound of armored footsteps. You're used to that sound. You've lived in Delveran in the worst part of town. You've heard, oh no, guards are coming, everyone wake up. And that's why your ears immediately pick up on this. But it quickly makes you go, no, it's going away from you. There's definitely a patrol that wandered nearby. That being
Okay,
said, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think he would offhand mention that to Salastra.
Sure. And if there's any conversation you'd like to have while that is happening, go for it.
Right. Salastra. Uh, I don't know. I've been doing some thinking, and it's occurred to me that we've spoken on a few watches, but we've traveled for quite some time, and I don't know. I'd like to get to know you a little better, if that's all right.
Oh, sure. I'd like to get to know you as well.
Okay. Um, I'm not. I don't have a plan for how to do that. Do you have any questions for me? I suppose.
Hmm. I guess, where did you first learn how to use magic when fighting?
Ah, well, okay. So that was a bit of an odd day. I woke up, I was getting ready to go to work like usual, and I had a parcel, and I don't usually get anything, and it was just the hilt of a sword, which without the rest of the sword is kind of useless anyway. I tossed it. Um, Later on in the day, I got into an altercation. Uh, I found that I still had the hilt, and the blade that you've seen me use appeared. There was blood, and I just knew how to do things after that point, spell work included, but also how to fight.
Hmm. And you hadn't had much experience fighting before then?
I've never picked up a weapon before then.
Interesting. Do you have any questions for me?
A few, I guess. Well, since you asked, just a follow-up question to your question. Have you ever heard of that happening to anyone? Anyone else?
Um, just finding some sort of inherent ability, you mean?
Or I don't know, suddenly knowing how to do magic or fight?
Hmm. Not exactly in that way, I don't think. I mean, some of my people uh tend to have abilities such as my own working with metal and such, but I haven't experienced anything like what you're describing.
Let's see. Uh, well, I suppose I asked another question. If you want to ask me one, go ahead.
Hmm. Um, what sort of work did you used to do?
Right. Okay. I was a I was a prostitute.
Oh, interesting. How did you feel about that line of work?
You do what you have to do.
See. Do you feel you are better off now?
Yes, I do. Yes.
It's been interesting to see how you've changed as time has gone on working with the group. I think you've become quite a natural leader.
What do you mean? And changed? How so?
Hmm. Well, I guess maybe you haven't changed so much as you've accepted the role, maybe is a better way to say it. But I just it seems like you have a level head, and I trust your decisions.
Thank you, Salastra. That means a lot. I I don't know. I just want to do right by everyone.
Definitely something I can appreciate.
Um, what what was it like for you growing up?
Well, I worked with my parents, and they were both blacksmiths as well. So they taught me pretty much everything I know and how to use Tharmacool's influence to work with metal. It was a small town, not many people around, but most people were in the same business.
What? And forgive me if you've mentioned this before. I do apologize, but what made you decide to leave?
Well, I just wanted to see more of the world and find out if there were more of my people out there. There weren't a whole lot of us where I came from, and I hadn't really known much about our people or our ancestry. We were sort of cut off from any others of our kind. So I wanted to find out more and see more of the world for myself.
I can very much understand that. The desire to want to see and to know.
Did you grow up in Dolveran?
I did, yes.
What was your childhood like?
He kind of pauses. For the first 5 years of my life, of which I remember maybe half of the fifth a little, um, I was raised in a noble household, and then my father had a proper heir, and I was brought to live at an orphanage that we're quite familiar with.
Oh, wow. I, had you mentioned that you had a personal connection? I didn't know.
I I didn't think it mattered.
Maybe it doesn't. So, your birth parents are Dolveran nobles?
They were. They are deceased.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's, it's fine. So Yeah, I mean, you've seen what the Umbra district is like. I was, well, you can surmise.
Yes, I see. Well, regardless, I'm happy to have you around, and I definitely trust your skills in battle.
Likewise, I I have been meaning. Besides having this talk, I have been meaning to thank you for your combat prowess, your uh, angelic figures, your saves, mini saves. Thank you.
Thank you for saying so. I'm
No
glad I can be
smiles.
helpful. It was nice talking with you, Rev. We should hang out more.
Rev smiles a little bit and says, I would like that. Yes.
Unless you had anything else to talk about, Celestro would just kind of sit by the fire and eat some rations.
Nope, that's it for me.
He did not make a fire
Oh,
by
okay.
Karuto's request.
Never mind. She would sit in darkness and eat rations.
I mean, you all have dark vision. Who cares?
Yeah.
Morning comes. Additionally, Tiny Hut keeps the temperature regulated, so you're perfectly content. Morning comes. Nothing attacked you. You regroup. No injuries. You can definitely tell that Six probably still irritated by losing 2 times that night and then going to sleep having to think about every way she lost.
She's got a strategy for tonight.
So I'm assuming she looks deep in thoughts.
Yes. More so than usual.
But you gather your things, and the animals start waking up as Deluna falls asleep in Mira's fur. Honestly, it is very adorable how that elk is actively protecting a small bat.
It's very cute.
Shall I assume that the party starts continuing southward again, or is there anything you'd like to discuss in the morning?
Nope.
You begin to head southward. Only a few hours go by until you start reaching. Actually, only about an hour and a half go by before you start reaching what Karuto saw just before the sun went down last night, the area that seems slightly burned. And it doesn't take long for the rest of you to start to see it too. It looks as if the dirt had been burned away and much of the wheat had been actively destroyed through this same feature. It's like it melted, as if whatever was poured onto it just caused it to evaporate into the air itself. It looks heavily damaged and very disturbingly so, very unnaturally. Another hour goes by as you see wave after wave of this, and then you see what appears to be 2 giant pieces of meat cleaved in two, huge pieces just scattered about of what looks to be an absolutely gruesome sight. It is rotting away directly in front of you. This creature must have been huge. You remember fighting that strange antelope creature that had a mouth in its chest big enough to eat one of you whole. This thing would make that look like a dwarf. Each half is bigger than that thing, than what you fought before. Its fleshy mounds just crush the ground about it, still heavy from everything. But in one quick glance, You can tell it can't survive being in two pieces, no matter how big those pieces are, and has been dead for quite some time.
Quite some time is in not. This isn't the one we saw last night, but this is one that's been dead for a while.
I'll allow survival, nature, or medicine. With an 18, with what Karato said, you start looking around at the destroyed landscape. You never saw one last night. You just saw the destruction, and you start to realize that it's more likely that this area was destroyed several days ago, and it's likely has been dead for that long. Actually, with 18, you even start to look a little bit closer and notice that much of what would be inside this creature has been ripped out. You see very few bones, you see very few organs inside. It looks as if it was harvested in some way or form on the spot. Likely its body is too heavy to simply be dragged away. Decomposition has started to happen. You can start to see maggots starting to swarm over it. It has been dead for at least 5 days.
And it's huge and cleaved in two.
It is cleaved in two. In fact, for that 18, there is a lot of worry with it's cleaved in two. That sword would have to be like 20 feet long.
I don't think Leo communicates this with his mouth, but he's like, it's very clear that he's looking at the straight cut and like the symmetry of it, and is sort of taken aback.
Anyone else want to poke at the body?
I don't, but can we, like, change out our spells?
He had a long rest.
Okay.
Are you suggesting you might want to be more combat prepared?
Yeah.
I will also say, Navali, since you took the south route, if you want to be in your full plate, you're in your full plate.
Yes.
I do want to investigate the body. Specifically, I want to look for any other wounds that it might have. I'm trying to discern what its weaknesses might be.
I'm deciding what you could roll for that.
Something intelligence-based?
Oh, it's definitely something intelligence-based.
They're all equally terrible.
I think it's weak at getting cut in half.
It's definitely weak to getting cut in half. You should definitely do that.
Okay, well, what if I can't cut it in half?
If you can't cut it in half, then let us say, I was quickly looking something up. Sure, Arcana or Nature.
You know what? Let's try Arcana just for the memes.
6.
Uh-huh.
You are 100% convinced, without any hesitation, this thing fought a giant, and the giant won.
Permelia.
Yes?
Are there giants in Aridia?
No?
There are giants in Aridia, and if we ally with them, we can defeat the babies.
What?
Look at this. Look at this. This has to be done by a giant. There's no way a single person could do that sort of swing.
What?
Look, it was cleaved in two, okay? Only a giant could do that, Permelia, obviously. So we'll make friends with the giant, and then when the babies come back, the giant will cut them in half. Easy.
Okay, Fiona. 6, please. Lie down in the cart for now. I think you may have been in the sun too long.
What?
Okay, so hear me out. And I
Uh-huh.
understand this is going to be very complicated. If there's giants, they'll also want to kill us.
Well, that's why we make friends with them.
How?
I don't know. I've never met a giant.
We're going to be discussing this for a while.
I think one of Six's theories is that we can throw Rev at them because Rev is like pretty and also good at talking.
I don't think they care. To him, he's a small, squishy thing.
Okay, yeah, but you also thought all Tabaxi were savages like 2 months ago.
You're right. I have to be right about one of these.
Oh my god, Skirt. I'm convinced this goes on for another half an hour.
Easily.
Like, it's not hostile. She's not mad.
But it definitely goes on of talking around the facts. Are giants evil at this point?
I don't know. I've never met one.
So yes, Karuto, I saw you do a medicine check. I assume you're also checking.
No, that was more for 6.
Obviously, I'm not going to answer any questions with a 2.
Yep. That's why I was saying, 6, maybe you should lie down in the cart. You're clearly not feeling well.
Would anyone else like to investigate this scene of clear damage? In that case, you look at it, and Leo and 6 get some ideas, and 6 gets some very interesting ideas that is discussed for the next hour trip between her and Permelia that goes simultaneously everywhere and nowhere at the same time. At some point, they probably even get to the point of talking about other very large creatures and discussing whether or not they could be good or evil.
It was a Behir, obviously.
No! It was clearly done by a weapon!
Okay, it was a Behir wielding a great axe.
You know what? Open her sheet and make her roll medicine.
Something she doesn't roll high at.
No, clearly it was done by a, She looks at Leo. Magic?
Oh.
Leo has the look of like, we should get out of here before whatever kills this thing comes.
Oh, it was done by a magic Permelia. Okay.
You continue southward. The land itself seems heavily damaged still, but nothing seems aggressive. You do notice. Actually, I should make you roll for this. Karuto, please roll me survival or perception, since I assume you're the one mostly leading.
Mm-hmm.
You can correct me if I'm wrong.
I would not disagree. Nice.
You do notice that there's definitely footsteps in the recent footsteps in the road, as clearly people came this way, likely were also investigating the corpse, then left. Doesn't surprise you too much. It's a big corpse. Maybe people are setting up for how to remove it, or maybe people are like, that's interesting. Both possible. But you can tell that they were heavy set and likely armored, so therefore not just random villagers. You continue southward. A few hours go by. You start to then see buildings that seem destroyed by whatever came through. Half of them collapse through either blunt force trauma or as if the wood rotted away. Another hour goes by until you finally see one building that has a person there who appears to be just digging through the wreckage. I'm going to assume that you just ride by, but if you would like to actually interact with him, please let me know. The devastation is obvious. Whatever these creatures are, they're extremely capable of doing a mass amount of damage very easily. You know that there was 3 of them, and if you wonder if all 3 of them came through or if just one of them did, or at least you only saw one corpse. And as you continue southward and it becomes closer to the middle of the day, Karuto, your natural perception notices a blue flare in the sky to your east. I'm going to ask, do you go towards it, or do you tell everyone we need to avoid that place?
I pull the party to a stop and say, the flare over there. I was given one similar by the guard. It means that someone is in danger, possibly from one of the beasts. It is our mission to protect those who are outcast, but is this the right land and the right place to be doing it?
Is there an indication, or like, can we see the flare and guess how
The moment
far
he
away?
points it out, you can see like there's a blue light in the sky.
Is this like hours away, or like over the hill?
I'd have to ask for a survival to figure out exactly how far away it is. Like when you look up into the sky, it can be hard to judge that.
Leo asks that question so that somebody else can make that roll.
Everyone looks at Karuto.
Survival, was it?
Yes.
Boop.
It's probably about 20 minutes away, like on mount at the very least. Not far. It's less than a mile, maybe about a mile.
Character relay such information.
It's the kind of thing that if you wanted to avoid it, you'd have to act now. If you want to head towards it, you have enough time to actually get there to minimum see the devastation.
What does Permelia think?
She looks extremely nervous in the sense of she doesn't seem to want to speak unless directly asked her opinion of this. Does Six directly ask her?
Yeah. Yo, Navali, your country, your people, what's the deal? And by Navali, I mean Permelia. I mean Permelia.
If they're in danger, my instinct says to go help them, but I don't want to put you in more danger for their sake.
Good enough for me. What about you guys?
Let's do it.
Works for me.
She looks even more nervous at that.
You should have expected it.
Leo looks at VD, kind of like, does she look like she's ready? Like she's found a hiding spot already?
Oh, she just grabs one of the foxes and clearly is just going to go, so I'm just going to wait over here. I'll catch up when you're done. Even get the feeling that she's looking over towards some of the destroyed homes that you saw earlier and going, I can go look at that. So, sounds like you ride towards it.
Yep.
You ride towards it. It doesn't take too long to see that there is definitely people who are running at the moment, and they're unarmed. And as you get closer, they're wondering why you're coming towards it, but no one's going to stop you, clearly in a panic. You can hear the sounds of screaming and the sounds as if steel is trying to strike against it, and more screaming against whatever's there. And as you get closer, you get to see how large this thing is. That small little light appears at the base of this thing's head, and a long mouth that doesn't seem to have a jaw, but a gullet that goes deeply into it, that always seems to be hanging open, going everywhere as it just swallows a man whole, almost instantly killing him. You can see anything that's walking by seems to almost wilt and melt as liquid seems to just be pouring out of it. And overall, it looks really, really bad. So I'm just going to go show you what it looks like and end the session with the expectation that you're going to kill it next session.
Or die trying.
Die trying.
Or get the soldiers out and run.
You're right. I should add a couple of soldier tokens who are getting horribly murdered. But right now, I just want to show you the token.
Terrifying.
Okay.
Jesus.
It is a baby.
Anyway, we will end session there, and next week we'll see exactly how that goes. Are we all good for next week?
Good for next week.
Yes.
Yep.
Let me double check. Which window is it in?
14th.
Yep. I won't be, yeah, I'll be available for 14th. Won't be around for the 21st.
All right. We will make plans to not stream on the 24th. That's fine.
21st.
21st. Why did I say 4th?
I don't
24th
know.
is a Wednesday. We don't stream on Wednesday.
Bad to say.
All right. Assuming everyone's good for next week, we will get to see what this thing can do next week. I make two
Oh,
Karutos on
boy.
this map.
I
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh. Karuto, it's your double.
My doppelganger.
Bizarro Karuto. Bizarrito.
Bizarrito.
In fact,
Waiting for that.
before we end, one quick question. Would you bring Mira into this fight?
Oh, I mean, did we leave the foxes with VD?
VD took the foxes to get them out of the way, but Mira could come with you.
You know what? Yeah, let's bring Mira with us. She's
There.
by me, by the way. She's not out in the open.
There. Mira has been added to the battle map.
Nice.
Haha, we're in danger.
And we'll see what this thing can do next week.
I'm gonna turn the stream off. Thanks for coming.
Hope everyone had a good time.